Well, I was hoping to record this video in the Volvo, but it is still not done, at least at time of recording. So please enjoy the nice B-roll of my base model Ford Focus. As some of you know, I'm a big car guy. I love all things automotive. American muscle cars, JDM, customs, rally, goofy project cars, it's all so cool to me. For those who don't know, I've been working on a 92 Volvo 240 wagon for a while now. It's currently at a local speed shop for an LS swap, suspension work, exhaust, all that good stuff. I got to take it for a spin the other day and it rips. So you'll be seeing that on the channel soon. Hopefully. But before we dive in, let me give you a brief behind the scenes look at how I got these rollers while I tell you about my channel sponsor, Audio. If you're in the video business, you know how important it is to use the right music. And if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll already know that there's only one place I trust to have exactly what I'm looking for every time. Audio is my one-stop shop for all my music needs. All the tracks you hear in my videos are from their massive catalog. But almost more important than their impressive library is the fact that they offer a lifetime membership with a one-time payment. I don't know about you, but I'm so tired of everything charging a monthly fee. I really miss being able to just pay for something once and have access to it forever. That's why I was so excited when I saw Audio was offering a hugely discounted lifetime music plan. Normally, it's a one-time investment of $499, which is already amazing considering what you'd pay with other company subscription models. But as a special treat for viewers of my channel, you can get lifetime access to Audio's entire music library for just $199. That's an amazing deal, a full $300 off. And if you're not sold already, Audio also has some really useful features, including my personal favorite, a similar tracks button that automatically searches their entire catalog and finds you more tracks similar to the one you like. So if you want to get unlimited access to Audio's entire music library, including every new song that's added in the future, follow the link below and use my code CHAPMAN199 at checkout. But anyway, today I wanted to talk about something that has been plaguing the automotive side of YouTube over the last few months. A lot of creators we know and love have been quitting the big channels. James left Donut and started Speeed. Zach and Jerry left Donut to create Bigtime. We've seen similar things happen at Hoonigan and Car Throttle. Big names in the space getting burned out working for massive channels and going to start their own thing. Now, I'm not the first person to make a video on this subject. Everyone from Doug to Alex to the creators themselves have given their thoughts, and everyone is kind of on the same page. But as a creator myself and someone who talks specifically about the problems of capitalism, I don't think any of you will be surprised that I think there's an underlying issue here that's not being addressed. Before we jump in, I'm going to be using some clips from a few other videos. I've credited the original creators on screen, but there are also links in the description, and I'd strongly encourage you to watch the originals to support the creators. Okay, so what's the story here? I think most people are aware of the problems in car YouTube from James, Zach, and Jeremiah leaving Donut, one of the biggest and most popular car channels on the platform. The way they each talk about leaving makes it pretty clear there was an NDA and probably a non-compete agreement involved, as well as some bad blood between the creators and management. Here are a couple clips that sum it up pretty well.
We were and are involved in less and less decisions. There was more structure, more bosses, and honestly, at this point, we were all just really tired. Jesse and I have been going full into this thing since 2016, and the other guys have been going just as hard, a lot of times harder, since they came on. And we did that because there was this idea that was either told to us or imagined, probably a lot of both, that we were all building something together, all right? But that thing that we were building wasn't ours, and it never was, and it never would be. And I think that that's the original sin of Donut. We don't own it, and we never owned it. None of the guys that make videos got rich when it sold, and more importantly, without owning Donut, we don't get to decide what Donut does, which is scary when you're the faces of it.
Yeah, it just, Donut, what I signed up for, Donut wasn't ever exactly that, and it just over time got further away from that. And especially once we sold, it was, my previous job, the same thing happened. We got bought out by an equity firm, and I was just trying to get away from that. So I was like, I'll go work at this small YouTube channel. Then the next thing I knew, it was a big YouTube channel that was worried about growth and, EBITDA, and, we got sold, and it was quickly, I was in the same spot I was.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are under the impression that we own Donut, that we owned it, and so their success was directly translated to our success. And in a lot of ways it was. Like, we can't sit here and say like we don't have a lot of, or we're not fortunate for what Donut has done for us.
Yeah, definitely.
But it's not untrue to say that when we joined Donut, there was this, you know, like big shiny object at the end of the tunnel, which would be like, hey, you guys will own a part of this. So if we ever sell, you'll like be good. You know, you'll be good. And
thousands of shares.
Right. Yeah. But more than that, like money aside, it got to the point to where it was COVID happened. We worked so crazy hard that when we came out of it, we then got acquired, and then our fun YouTube job, which is like the best job on the world, in the planet, because you get to do the things you want to do. Now, we don't necessarily get to do that. It's a 9 to 5, and it just...
I think it's a product of getting too big, growing too big, and then trying to just never drop down.
Right.
And I think, you know, I've always said one of the coolest things about YouTube is that you can take swings. You can try stuff you want to do, and if it doesn't work, you find out immediately, and then, you know, you revise. And we stopped doing that a long time ago.
Yeah.
And we just got to where we were trying to make videos that we knew would do well.
Right. Instead of making videos that we just wanted to do.
Yeah.
Pretty much what we've all come to expect from channels that get bought out, right? It's not just the car scene that's been corporatized. This happens off YouTube too. Cool startups get acquired by venture capital or private equity firms, and priorities at the channel change. It becomes less about the creativity, the enjoyment of the subject matter, the relationship with the viewers, and it becomes more about the bottom line. Now, Zach used a word that a lot of you probably aren't familiar with: EBITDA. That's one of them fancy business terms, and Alex Martini did a great job of breaking down what that is in his video on the whole saga. Here's the explanation.
There's been loads of riffraff on the internet of private equity companies buying things up and kind of just ruining shit. Come in, they put their dirty little dick beaters into things, that's kind of a weird phrase, and they just kind of mess things up, because what they want to do is they want to take a formula that's 1 + 1 = 2, and they want to turn it into 1 + 1 = 4, and they want to do that as fast as possible so that when they flip the company in 5 years, they can say that they made more money. Now, a lot of times when you buy a company, and most companies are going to get bought out for an EBITDA multiplier based on, well, how much money the company is making. Back in the past, you would see common aftermarket companies getting sold for anywhere between 5 to 8 times EBITDA, meaning that if you had $1 million after the fancy formula, these private equity companies would buy you for $7 to $8 million. They put it into a nice little package deal. They try to keep the executive team on for 2 years, and then after that 2-year period, most of the executives would leave. That private equity would put new executives in for the remaining 3 years, cut cost, cut lengths, cut everything, cut employees, and then for the following, at the 5-year mark, they would go and sell the company.
Long story short, private equity snaps up what they hope to be lucrative projects, leans them out as much as possible, swaps out the leadership, and a couple of years later, they try to flip the company for more money. Very rarely do these firms give a shit what they're buying. They see numbers on a spreadsheet. They see subscriber count, view count, conversion rate for sponsors, expenses. All these factors are shoved into an equation, and if there's a good chance they can flip the company for a profit, they add it to their portfolio, and they get to work ruining the project. That's very clearly what happened at Donut, and it's happened with many other startups across the media space in recent years. Now, this is where the analysis ends for pretty much all the videos about this story. There was a great creative project, private equity came in and messed things up because they wanted to make a quick buck. That is absolutely true, but I think it's important we consider the underlying structural conditions that allow this to happen. And I want to be very clear, I'm not trying to say any of these creators are being ignorant or disingenuous. Their analysis of the negative impact of private equity is absolutely correct. But as a socialist and a car enthusiast, I really want to get to the bottom of this and maybe help explain why all the cool stuff in the world keeps getting destroyed. Of course, what I'm talking about here is the inherent logic of capitalism. Funnily enough, both Alex and Doug came very close to outright saying that capitalism is to blame. Though he never uses the word in his video, Alex has in his description a chapter labeled "The Capitalism of the Car Industry is Bad Right Now." And Doug uses the term "the means of production."
And so what happens to some of these creators is they go on the donut medias and the car throttles and they build up a pretty big following. And if they're smart, they start to think to themselves, why am I collecting a paycheck and taking some of the revenue when potentially I could go and do this for myself and own the business and take all of the revenue? And frankly, I don't get, when I look at this space, I don't get why more people don't do this. More people who are on established channels getting paid a salary don't just go out and create their own stuff and own the means of production themselves.
Now, I'm not saying these two guys are closet communists, though that would be cool. It's just common sense that if you want to have a better experience with your channel, both financially and creatively, it makes more sense to own it. Or at the very least, have a stake in the company and the right to have your desires considered when it comes to what videos to make, for example. This is very basic socialist theory. Economic democracy. If you do the work of running a channel, you should own at least a portion of the company, and you should have a say in how the company is run. This clearly wasn't the case at Donut, as we heard from James earlier. The actual creators didn't own it, and they never would, despite being the personalities that carried the channel to success. Now, I won't pretend to know all the details about the buyout of Donut. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth. But if I were James or Zach or Jeremiah, I would be pretty pissed with the fact that the channel I helped build, that I poured years of my life and countless hours of blood, sweat, and tears into, from all of that, all the thanks I get is having my video ideas shot down by the new owners and not receiving any financial gain from the sale. That's a slap in the face. And that's what kills any desire to stay on at a company. When you're disrespected to that degree simply because, hey, we're running a business here, you know it's time to get out. So I'm not at all surprised that the talent is leaving Donut. I would too. And for anyone rolling their eyes and saying not everything has to be about capitalism, it kinda does. When you live under a particular economic system, that system forms the base of all the relationships that are built on top of it. The relationship between owner and employee being the relevant one here. It's not something that needs to actively insert itself, it's just how the system works. The primary driver of capitalism is the profit motive. The desire for ever-increasing profit, year over year, infinite accumulation on a planet with finite resources. That profit motive informs the decisions of companies that operate within the capitalist system. When profit is the driving factor, you lose out on things like long-term planning, creativity, employee well-being, even things like taking risks to try something new, as all the donut creators mentioned in their videos. The goal of finance capital, as everyone knows, is to acquire properties that will turn a profit as quickly as possible, and then dump them, and then move on to the next vehicle for capital. It's really sad and disheartening to see it happen again and again to projects that we care about. Donut was awesome back when it was a project informed by the passion and enthusiasm of the team. I think it speaks to the post-buyout quality of the company that people are jumping ship, and it seems not on great terms. So all that negativity about capitalism aside, I am so happy for Bigtime, for Speeed, and for whatever new independent projects will spin off from Donut, Hoonigan, Car Throttle, or wherever else. The car scene isn't going anywhere, and the barrier to entry for new channels is very low. As long as we have people who genuinely care about the content they're creating, Automotive YouTube will continue to thrive. And personally, I can't wait to see what comes next. I think we're finally starting to reach a point where the average person has a negative opinion of these private equity firms. The story always ends the same way. Hopefully Donut will serve as a reminder that if you don't own the means of production, if you don't have full creative control over your channel, you can have the project you built ripped out from under you. The democratization of video production has been such a boon to the car scene. Anyone can pick up a decent camera and give it a shot. And who knows, maybe I'll get around to doing it one day. But until then, best of luck to everyone at Speeed and Bigtime. Thank you to Alex and Doug for those clips. Thank you for watching, dear viewer, and I'll see you in the next one.